we doing? Right, it is sunny. I have half a rose bush shadow covering my face, so that looks interesting. I look like I'm from Phantom of the Opera, actually. Right, usual thing, I am not relying on Facebook to give me any prompts, so I've got a feed up here on my phone, and I've obviously got our screen here. If you can, please let me know if you can hear me. Write in the comments saying, yes, I can hear you, Waj. And also, where are you watching today? Are you in your garden? Are you on your balcony? Where are you watching? Good morning, Ian. Ian, I was coaching when you just wrote those messages within the group. Fantastic. Absolutely unbelievable. 6 minutes faster on your 10K. Brilliant. Fastest solo 10K run there for Ian. Well done, Ian. Usual deal, everyone. So please let me know you can hear us and that you can see us nice and clearly, or my kind of Phantom of the Opera face. And also, right where you are watching, tag someone. Please, please, please tag someone you think would benefit from watching this, and yeah, share it on your feed. We will get going very shortly. There is a slight delay as normal between you and I. Grab your coffee. 3 of you in right now. Let's try and get it up to double digits. And 17 3 weeks ago. We want to get back up to that 17 if possible. If you have any questions as well, write them right now. So pop in the comments down here, or whatever system you're using. Pop in the comments any of your questions. Nutrition, health, fitness, running, obviously, and also random questions. Any questions that you might have, we'll do our best to answer them. Maybe it's to do with how to make a nice cocktail on a Sunday afternoon. A little bit of a different format today. I'm going to talk to you about 2 things, and then opportunity for you to ask any questions that you might have. So 2 or 3 of you in right now. Ian, Kate, well done on your 10Ks. So today is Birmingham 10K day. For many of you out there, you will be disappointed knowing that you'd done some training, you'd planned to run, and there's oh no, that side there. There's Bella. That's my cat. That you have planned to have done some kind of race, whether it was the Birmingham 10K or it was somewhere else in the racing calendar, for it to be cancelled. Today was the Birmingham 10K. We always go out and do it. The Friday Night Track Club team, the squad, always go out and do it as part of our racing diary. It's a fun event to do. Well, it's fun as long as it's not too hilly like last year's one was. That was horrendous. Undulating course, had to be changed. Changed that route myself today. Or actually, Kate changed the route for me, and I just did the route that she had written out for us. But we went out and still did it. It's important to have that kind of routine, have that structure. You've been working for something, towards something, run it. So we said that we would carry on running, run the 10K between today and Wednesday. Log your time, it all still counts. Obviously, race environment is slightly different. The race environment brings an awful lot of adrenaline, increases your speed, increases your pace, particularly that first kilometre where maybe you've been running in 5:30s for the whole of your training period, the 10, 12 weeks or whatever, and then suddenly in your first kilometre you run a 4:30 because you get caught up in the atmosphere, in the steep decline and left turn, I think it was last season or last year. But yeah, go out and run your run as if your race, whether it was a Birmingham 10K, whether it was Great North, wherever you were meant to be running this summer, still do it. It still counts. It's still part of your training. It's still part of your routine. Okay, just dropped a question in here. Remember, if you're watching this on the rerun, if you ask any questions, I will do my best to answer them. And I will also, if I don't answer them via a message, I will include them on the following week's live. We're doing this every single Sunday. So make sure you have a coffee with you. Kate's made these cakes. Funnily enough, our nephew used to call Kate, when he was very, very, very young, Auntie Cake. So she baked some cakes for this morning. Delightful. Right, so, excuse me. So, first things first, we're talking race day preparation. Over the last couple of weeks, I had a few questions around the use of nutrition, the use of supplements in preparing for runs and training in general. And that prompted me to think about race day nutrition now and race day preparation. So it's really, really important. The first thing that we always remember is you never try anything new before a race. Rule 1, Rule 2 and Rule 3 all say don't practice something on race day. You only ever do something on race day which mimics what you have worked on so far. So first of all, if you're going to go out and try something, please do it in your training runs before you go out and do this in a race, or if you're setting yourself to do a 10k race, even if it's on your own, it still counts as a race. Then please make sure you try this out in training first of all. Wayne, how are you doing, Wayne? Happy birthday, Kerry. Exciting birthday. I know what it's like to have a birthday during lockdown, so really, really glad you guys can join us. I hope the boys are well as well, if they're watching. Hello. So, in terms of race day preparation, there are a few things that you can do to improve performance. There are a few things and processes that you can kind of form habits from to move into. So imagining you've been doing some of these things in your training, that's the most important thing, so it's not a surprise now. Then you can take this advice further. We have a taper week. So this is where we basically reduce all of our training load, our training intensity, by about 50 to 60% of its usual volume. So 7 days away as a minimum, you're reducing that intensity and effectively sparing your muscles. It's reducing the demand on your glycogen storage. But that probably doesn't mean much to many of us, but effectively that's the amount of carbohydrates we're taking in, it's stored within our muscle tissue, and we're reducing our reliance on them simply by reducing the intensity and the duration and the volume of our running or our training. You can apply these principles across all sports. I'm going to stick to running purely because today was running and I'm predominantly a running coach. That's my main thing. Although performance coaching does span loads of different things. Danny, hello Danny. How was your 10 miler? If you've completed 10 miles since you've texted me, that's incredible in this heat. So back to tapering. So tapering doesn't just mean, okay, you're reducing your intensity, but you run still the same amount of mileage. Tapering means you're also going to reduce the durations of your runs. Everything really falls within the kind of everything falls within this easy effort level, easy running, which no one ever wants to do until they have a coach who tells them, no, you're going too fast, slow down. No, you're still going too fast, slow down. No, you're still going too fast, slow down. That's easy running. And the majority of your training plan really as an endurance runner should be made of easy running miles. This basically just develops bone density and your muscles being able to endure impacts for a certain amount of time. Now, you always have this tendency when you say you start your week on a Monday and you're dropping your mileage, you're dropping your intensity. A couple of days in, you think, I really feel like doing some intervals or something fast. What can I do? Can I maybe just sneak one in? Maybe that'll make me fitter for race day. Now, someone I used to work for, an Olympic athlete, she went to two Olympic Games. This is terrible, I can't remember if she medalled at one. Middle distance runner anyway. And she turned around to me one day and said, so what kind of fitness are you gaining from training for a week? And I thought that was quite an interesting point. She said, imagine if you were working with someone, complete beginner, completely starting anew, would you say that you can make them fitter in 7 days? Well, obviously not. You need 4 weeks or so to start improving the endurance of an athlete. So what makes you think, when you're already slightly trained, that you're going to improve your fitness in just 1 week prior to a race? You're not. So instead, focus on that taper. So that hopefully that little message, that little story will stay in your head, and you'll kind of be put off trying to test yourself with race day coming up. So that's an element of tapering. You have this reduced intensity and you have this reduced mileage. We're talking, remember, 50 to 60% reduction in your running mileage. We've got a few messages in here, so I'm just going to have a little look. Sorry I'm late, just done my 16 kilometers, 69 minutes. Oh, Danny. There are lots of hills down there. Very, very impressive. Good work, Danny. We've got 5 of us in, guys. So usual thing, please click share, write a little message of why you think someone should join. Tag someone in here as well that you think would benefit from this running. We're talking about tapering, race day preparation. So you've been tapering, and with endurance activity, people always talk about the need to carbohydrate loading. Basically, that says you consume loads of carbohydrate and that prepares you for running. The necessity for this only really kicks in on the 10k runs and above, and 45 minutes / 60 minutes and above requirement. Other than that, there's technically not a requirement for carbohydrate loading. There are loads of different strategies for carb loading as well. It used to be that you keep your training really high 7 days out and have your carbs really low, and then basically as the race day came nearer, your training intensity was dropping like this. I think that's working, and your carbs were creeping up, and then they'd switch over about 2 days, 1 to 2 days prior to race day, and then 7 days of this is quite challenging. So then they started saying, okay, you're keeping your race work here, but you're only introducing this increased volume of carbohydrates 3 days out, and that showed to have the exact same effects. Then they started experimenting with this and saying, well, maybe we don't need to completely exhaust ourselves. Completely exhaust ourselves up here with the exercise, and perhaps we can just start tapering exercise already from our previous weeks of training. And instead of starting out here with our carbs 7 days or 3 days, what would happen if we just did it 24 hours out? And it basically had the exact same effect without any of the gastrointestinal discomfort. So from piling loads of carbohydrate in you for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, whatever it is, can be quite uncomfortable for a lot of people. And when you combine that psychological effect with the physiological benefit of increasing our carbohydrate, it had pretty much the same effects on increasing our carbohydrate store. Increasing our carbohydrate store to maximize for our run. So carbohydrate loading basically doesn't have to happen for more than a day outside of your race. Obviously, if you prefer to do it for 2 or 3 days prior to race, that's cool, that's not a problem. But the main thing here is tapering off your exercise, so you're reducing your exercise demands. So your final week is nice, easy exercise, and you start considering increasing that carbohydrate. Now, I've been talking about Emma. Hello, Emma. Jamie, if you're with us, how exciting was ISS? Well, not ISS, SpaceX. SpaceX last night. I'm going to talk about that later, actually. So, talking about tapering our exercise, there's a really fundamental catch here, though. Loads of people think, right, I'm going to taper ready for my race. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to kick back in my camping chair, because that's what we're using at the moment. We haven't got any garden furniture. So kick back in my garden chair, and I'm just going to get ready for my run in 7 days by sitting here, possibly with a can of beer or something like that. All that does is make you feel really stiff. That's not going to benefit you for your performance. You actually need to stay mobile somehow. My usual recommendations are starting of the week doing some easy running. Remember, easy is slow. Easy is uncomfortably slow. And this is up to 6, maybe at the most to 7k. And then this starts creeping down. I think I did a 6. I think I did a 6 on Tuesday prior to Kate's giving me the, we did a 5.5. Yeah, Kate's giving me the correct details. So 5.5K on Tuesday prior to this. And then lots of walking to stay mobile, not walking long distances, not getting 10,000 steps in. We're talking 8,000 steps max really, because that does have effect on your legs. Doing some mobility, doing some core work, doing glute activation. You can do those. You can increase those in your week if you want, rather than doing it for once a week, doing 2 sessions in the week. Making sure you jump on a bike. You can do 20 minutes on a bike, ideally not a mountain bike because it's really hard going sometimes pedaling, but 20 minutes on a bike, nice and gentle, just getting the wind through your hair, lack of. And basically keeping yourself moving, allowing your blood circulation to go. So then day before race, you're doing some massage of your calves, 2 thumbs in, working down the shin, into your feet, working your ankles, keeping them really nice and supple, some dynamic movements, so some hamstring kicks. So you're driving your heel away from your body as you hold behind the knee, so in the crease of your leg. All of that the day before, 15, 20 minutes, light stroll, and that's all the work you need to be doing. Nothing should be intense, nothing should be completely stationary. Otherwise you're going to go to one extreme of being too tired, or the other extreme of being too stiff. Race day now. Race day, do not wake up and go and run. That was my rule. That was the one kind of thing I said to Kate. We're not getting up and going straight out that door. You can if you want, but I'm not. I want 45 minutes, an hour to get ready. Delicious cake. Carrot and orange, right? Yeah, carrot and orange muffins on a Sunday morning. So, we've now got to race day itself. At this point, everyone, click like, love, haha, wow, if this is interesting. If you're benefiting from this, please, please, please tell me. If not, I will stop. We've got to race day. I've led you to the cliffhanger here. But if you have a question on any of this, pop it in the comments. I've got the feed running just down here, so I can see if there are any questions popping up, and I'll answer them. There's 6 of us in here. I'm not sure how many of you I've said hi, so say hi. I can't see who it is unless you say hi, so hello. Cool, we've got a couple of hearts coming in. That's great. Keep that coming just to make sure I'm doing something of benefit for you guys. So race day itself, don't wake up and just think you're going to go out the door. You will be stiff at this point. First things first, go to the toilet and follow a kind of usual routine. So have your cup of tea or whatever. Be mindful of your caffeine consumption. What are you like with caffeine? If you don't normally have caffeine first thing in the morning, don't do it unless you practiced for your race with it, okay? Remember that rule. Promise me, everyone. Promise. Then we have to consider hydration status. Depending on how long you've woken up prior to running, this has a big impact. So ideally, 2 hours prior to race time, you will consume 500 millilitres of an isotonic drink. Remember, this is important for 45 minutes and above. If it's a really short race, this doesn't have to be isotonic, it just can be water. But 500 ml spread over about 30 minutes, 2 hours prior to race time. So if your race kicks off at 11, that means at 9 AM to 9:30, you're sipping on 500 mils of an isotonic drink. Isotonic drink would be like Lucozade, no sponsorship here, unfortunately, at this point in time. Dan Ventrella, are you watching from Australia? If you are, hello, sir. So, we've consumed this isotonic drink, 30 minutes worth, and then you're not consuming anything else, maybe a couple of bites of banana, maybe a little bit of toast, not much, just a little bit over the next hour and a half. 30 minutes prior to race, you then start sipping on an isotonic drink again. This can be slightly higher concentration of water, so you might dilute your Lucozade a little bit, but you're basically going to sip on that up until race time. Never gulping. Gulping just makes it sit in your stomach, you'll feel really uncomfortable. And these are optimal amounts. These aren't exact amounts. It might feel uncomfortable for you to do a full 500 and you prefer to do 250 and 250. You just have to experiment, and that's why we experiment in training. Now, if you have been training with this, and if you take and tolerate caffeine really well, like I do, 45 minutes prior to start, or maybe even a little bit less, 30 minutes, depending on when you want it to kick in, some caffeine. Really nice way of doing this is an espresso, because it's low volume of water, so it won't affect your other hydration plans, but an espresso shot, and that's your caffeine kick. And I know that's going to kick in between 30 and 45 minutes after consuming it, which basically means, okay, if I take that just before I start running, it's going to help me when things start getting a little bit hard. Or if I take it about 30 to 45 minutes before I start running, it's going to kick in straight away. So just be smart with it. A few messages on there, so I'll have a little look at that in a second. Danny and Emma. So that's your consumption prior to racing. Now, race day determinants basically are around weather conditions. So it's quite warm. We deliberately ran early when it was 15, 16 degrees. If it gets hotter, you are going to need water stations without a doubt, or take a bottle with you. Again, you only need carbohydrate solution drinks, isotonic drinks, when it's 45, 60 minutes and above. Other than that, there's no requirement for it, technically. I prefer, at this point in time, not to consume anything whilst I'm running. The length of the race and the conditions are fine for me, especially with a bit of preparation beforehand. Post-race, then milkshakes. Milkshakes are excellent, actually, because you have milk, which is faster hydrating than water alone. Might be a little bit of a goldmine there, but milk basically does hydrate you faster than water alone, has greater absorption into the cell. So milkshake useful, and it also comes with some protein, so a little bit of protein in there to help aid recovery. Notoriously, we will go to, and Danny, you mentioned, pardon? Cozy. Yes, Cozy Club. We go to Cozy Club and we hydrate with beer. Beer has a net hydrating index, so nothing wrong with that. I used to crave shandies after hard training sessions. Very weird, especially when it's hot like this. That's absolutely fine. And that gets you to race day. If your race day is longer, however, so if your race is way over 45 minutes or way over an hour, then you should be consuming your carbohydrate solutions every 25 to 35 minutes after 45. So your first consumption of some fluid, some isotonic fluid, should be around 45 minutes, so you won't have a tail, a drop, basically. And then after that, short amounts of carbohydrate solution, or gels if you like gels. We're talking 90 grams of glucose or glucose fructose gels, ideally 2 to 1, will prove particularly beneficial to you as the race goes on and on and on. But we'll probably do a marathon preparation video, actually. Would that be useful? Yeah, write in the comments if you think that would be useful, a marathon preparation video, completely separate to this live. Hey Claire, how are you doing? I do wish we were in Galley Bay, yes. We'll probably do one of those videos separate, because I think that would be really useful for people. Right, we're going to go through some questions. That's race day preparation. If you have any other questions based on the last, I've spoken for ages on that, 25 minutes, 24 minutes I've spoken about race day. So if you have any questions around that, please, please, please write in the comments and I'll try and answer them right now. So, Emma, we're following Dragon docking on the TV. Oh my goodness, is that happening right now? Oh my goodness. I am. Has it docked? Emma, has it docked? Oh, I was almost crying when I was watching it last night. Basically, that's the replacement for sport. Watching those phenomenal astronauts take off, and then my excitement at 10:20 when 10:10 when I ran out of the living room with Kate to stare at the sky, to watch it flying from there to there. Absolutely unbelievable. Oh my goodness. Kate, pop it on the TV. Right, let's get to these questions. Danny, how soon after finishing should you start eating? Danny, there is no requirement for you to wait, basically. There's loads of absolute rubbish, which is a study saying that you have a window, an opportunity to consume protein. Funnily enough, that was in funded studies. There is an opportunity, or the requirement for protein refueling post-exercise, post-training, kicks in at 3 hours. So at 3 hours, yeah, you really should have. But there's not a 30-minute window that you need to rush to. After 3 hours, the demand becomes greater and more important all the way through to 24 hours, where it starts getting to be a problem. So basically, how often are you going to be in a position where you'll do some training, do something really hard, and 3 hours will have passed and you won't? Because realistically, you train at 9, 3 hours later it's lunchtime. You train at 12, finish at 1, 3 hours later it's 4, so you might be snacking, something like that. But basically, you need to consume some food straight after, start replenishing. Hydration, important. Salt, important, so electrolytes or some salted chips, because you're going to have carbohydrate in there. If you're being really, really, really smart, reducing your fat content of what you're about to consume, this is like proper performance nutrition. Basically, reduce the fat content and increase your carbohydrate and protein content. Fat basically delays the absorption of the other two macronutrients. That's the only reason. But we're talking proper, extreme performance nutrition. So basically, consume as soon as you finish everything. Protein, carbs, fats. How about caffeine tablets? They don't tend to agree with me personally. Oh, thank goodness, Emma. 3:30 UK time. Thank you for doing the conversion for me there, Emma. Panic over. Ah, yeah. That's what Kate said. Back to work, Arch. Right, caffeine tablets, Danny. So caffeine tablets are absolutely fine. A slight disclaimer if you're watching, basically. Don't recommend caffeine consumption without someone monitoring it for you. Or caffeine tablet consumption or caffeine powder consumption, unless you have a professional monitoring that for you. Purely because caffeine can, well, it can be fatal really if you get it really wrong. And in tablet form and in powder form, so caffeine anhydrous, is very, very easy to consume too much. And therefore, I tend to say, if you're going to be doing that, have someone doing the amounts and the kind of delivery of that for you. You will find it's incredibly individualized. If you are going to be using caffeine on race day, make sure you have 1 day off per week. So you're, say for example, Sundays you don't consume caffeine on, just to increase the effect that caffeine has. All sorts of like specifics that 3 to 6 milligrams per kilo of body mass is your ideal ergogenic effect of caffeine. If you're 100 kilos, that's a lot of caffeine. Top dosages are at 9 milligrams, and you just don't want to be taking that outside of a supervised lab environment. So please be careful with it. If they don't agree with you, like you're saying there, Danny, then don't consume them. Stick with a normal coffee. Or if coffee doesn't agree with you on race day, full stop, then don't have it. It's going to be more detrimental than the ergogenic benefit. I was going to say ergonomic. It's like, how comfortable is your seat? The ergogenic benefit of it. So please do consider that before you race. Does that answer your question, Danny? I had a tablet partway through a marathon once. The friend told me it was like a cup of coffee. It felt rubbish within a few minutes, though. I've steered clear since. Yeah. So consumption during race is really, really difficult. Particularly because, it's really difficult in long events, so like a marathon. So caffeine will basically stimulate adrenaline, and adrenaline will massively exacerbate your, basically it's glycogen sparing, so it reduces your requirement for glycogen, but it does sometimes have this effect of stimulating adrenaline too much, or noradrenaline, isn't it? And basically you feel like you're having a hypo, you feel like you're going down like this. That's where you have to balance it very, very carefully. So you might actually find yourself having caffeine and then needing to take on more liquids and more isotonic, which then makes you feel heavy, and it gets really, really messy. Cup of coffee also massively variant. You have a standard coffee and it's 55 milligrams. You have a proper like espresso coffee and that's at least 95 milligrams. You know, it's double there. Or if you have one of my coffees and it's like 180 milligrams or something of caffeine in there. I once accidentally, and this is exactly exactly the reason I don't recommend caffeine tablets. I once accidentally washed down, how many milligrams of caffeine was it? I once accidentally washed down something like 300 milligrams of caffeine with a large Starbucks. So I think that's got 3 shots in. So I basically consumed like 500 milligrams of caffeine, but wasn't doing any exercise. It was kind of like a little test thing I was doing at the time, and that made me feel rubbish, absolutely awful. And I'm someone with a very high caffeine tolerance, so yeah, be careful with that. I don't advise it really. Caffeine gum, by the way, that's a different case. So Danny, we could always talk about that in the future. I will probably do a video on caffeine because I'm going to do a dictionary basically of supplements talking about coffee. I'm just going to have this coffee. Right, any other questions? And realise we have been going for 33 minutes and I was meant to talk about something else and I can't remember what I was meant to talk about. I wanted to do race day preparation. Oh, we were going to talk about sports. Maybe I'll delay that. So I think Kate's got a question on here. Yeah, Kate had a question right from the off. So Kate says, now we've completed the 10K program, what can I do to keep up the training when I haven't got my next event planned? What sort of runs should I be doing in a normal week? Worried I'll get lazy again. So who else has this thing? You do the 10K and then you never exercise until it's time to train for the 10K again. I had a client who said he had those struggles as well. So it's not just you, Kate. It's not just him. It's a common thing actually. You have this one event per year that you want to train for, and you don't allow yourself to progress from year on year, or give you the best opportunity to progress from year on year, because your training goes like this. You get to this standard up here, and then 10K goes, and you're like, yeah, buzzing. I'm going to carry it on. You do it for a little bit and then it tails off down here. So then by the time it's time to train for the 10K again, you get back up to this same level, which is there, instead of getting to up here. So it is very difficult. First things first, get yourself a coach like Arj. In all seriousness, you need to get yourself some kind of coaching program, some kind of format to follow, some kind of regime. I strongly advise a week, 10 days of downtime post-race. Like marathon circumstances, if you're running a marathon twice in a month, that's really intense. You need to be taking some downtime following that kind of stuff. Ben, hello Ben. Hello Hayley if you're watching as well. Just enjoying some cake. So how to come back basically is heavily reliant on discipline if you are not going to have a coach working with you. Goal setting is paramount. So I usually recommend changing the goal though. So rather than saying, right, I've done the 10K, I ran this time, like Kate and I did this morning, it went really well, really happy with it. Rather than saying, I'm going to go for this time now, so I'm taking 20 seconds off, because yeah, 20 seconds in a 12-week plan would be pretty decent, really. So Ian, with your 6 minutes, that's unbelievable actually, just saying that out loud. But if you basically repeat that goal, it becomes psychologically quite tiring. So you need to change your focus. Now, if overall you want to improve your 10K time, so that's the overarching goal, then switch from training the 10K though. You've done 12 weeks of working towards that specific 10K. Switch it down. Go to 5K. Do 5K, and that will build and develop speed. That will develop a lot of maximal aerobic capacity that will then directly improve your 10K. You could train as a 5K athlete and consistently improve your 10K. Theoretically, you can just always train as a 5K athlete, and depending on your weekly mileage and how you tinker with it, you could theoretically consistently also beat your 10K, even though you only ever do shorter 5K runs. So basically, choose a new distance that you want to work towards. It doesn't have to be a 12-week program, it could be 8 weeks, whatever. Have that goal written out, follow a program, follow some kind of structure. We've released so we had the 10K free 10K group guys, releasing a book that people can purchase for that now. I've yet to decide what kind of program we'll be doing next. We'll probably be doing, to be honest, nothing for running just yet. We'll probably be doing a 4 weeks, 4 kilos as lockdown is easing. So how to get into shape quickly, shed a couple of kilos if that's what you want to do. Now the stresses of being locked down are starting to ease up. I don't believe in dieting during such stressful times. Get yourself feeling happier, feeling more confident, feeling fitter, and then we'll launch another running program. Couple of more questions here. Kate, does that answer your question though? Emma, do you have any advice for running in the heat? Is it good for training, or is it best to avoid and go early/late? Really, really good question, Emma. Kate says yes, thanks, excellent. Really good question. It's very, very difficult. Realistically, it's going to tax your heart and therefore the whole body more to run in the heat. There is a cut-off point at which hydration and fitness will benefit you, and at that point it's like that basically the heat will overpower you and reduce it. If you're looking to maximize those runs, so rather than plodding along and just keeping consistent pace, you're talking about, okay, I'm going to follow training like we've been doing basically on the 10K plan, from kind of working reps, then you'll find that your ability to run fast reps in heat, if you're not naturally used to the heat, will be detrimental. So run early and run late, basically. I had this conversation with Danny during the week, should I say, and we basically said, delay it till later, because you won't run maximal paces midday heat, basically. You will be warm, however, which is a benefit, reduces your actual running time, basically. But yeah, you want to move it, as long as you're looking for progress and developing your physiological system, then you want to move it so that you can run basically hard by altering your sessions. You can do some acclimatization training though, so by doing like easy runs in the heat, getting used to it, there's nothing wrong with that. Emma, does that answer your question? Ian, when should you start a training plan for the Birmingham Half Marathon in October? Awesome. Oh, hello Ryan. Ryan has said, I would say the time is now. If you have not done any running at all, it will be tough. Time on your feet is needed. Ian has done running. Ian's been owning it. PB after PB, right, Ian? 12 weeks. 12 weeks out gives you ample time to train for it. Like marathon programming is like 12 to maxing out at 24 weeks, realistically. For the half, you definitely want to be getting into mileage. You're doing that 75k great solo run, so that will definitely help. You don't want to be getting in loads of mileage too early. You basically like determine your weekly mileage that you're comfortable with, and then you fluctuate between 60 and 100% of that weekly mileage as your program goes on. So like in week 6, week 7, you would drop your mileage to 60% of your weekly mileage that you're comfortable, that you can fit in. So if we use 100 kilometers as the mileage that you think you can achieve per week, this is just so I've got easy numbers, by the way. Week 6 or week 7, you could drop that to like 60 kilometers. So you're effectively allowing your body just to recover a little bit. And then some weeks you'll have 70, 80, 90, 100 kilometers in there. But those are just numbers. You can train on much, much, much lower volumes. Ryan, what do you do? What would you suggest, Ryan? But yeah, 12 weeks out will give you plenty of time. The fact that you've come off the back of this, you've got a really strong base already, Ian. We can talk about it. Is that what people want? Do people want a half marathon training program? Write in the comments if you want a half marathon training program. Write one which gets your personal best if you want. Emma says, yes, great, thanks. Right, guys, I'm going to give you 2 minutes now to write any questions you have, and also if you want a half marathon training program. What I love about our program that we ran, it's all based on numbers. Because you can't, well, I was about to say you can't get the maths wrong, but you can easily get the maths wrong. But our training programs to date, underpinned by science and the time I've spent in the lab, and they've worked. Okay, I'm tempted. 10 miles. 10-mile training. Now that's hard. What do you reckon, Danny? How's 10-mile training? Right, what's the date? Let's have a look. There's a few yeses for half marathon training. Ryan, I'd be really interested. Are you an athlete? Is it the 31st of October? The Birmingham half. Let me know if I'm right, Ian. Is it the 31st of October for the Birmingham half? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Ah, we've got ages and ages of training time. Yeah, so see, like I haven't even gone anywhere near October dates yet for half marathon, so do let me know. I've got my calendar just over here in front of me, so do let me know if any of this doesn't make sense to you. 11th of October. I don't know where I got 31st of October. Was it the 31st of October last time? So what I would do, I would give yourself 7 to 10 days of low intensity, lower mileage, easier working. Danny. Yeah, I can't believe they did that. So I would give yourself 7 to 10 days, lower mileage, lower intensity running. Then I would do 4 to 6 weeks worth of real grafting. I mean, high speed training, high speed reps, lower duration, basically train as a 5K runner. Work really hard, improve your aerobic base. And then that would still give you plenty of time to train for the Birmingham half with a light week in there to basically replenish you, as well as a taper into it. So maybe that's what we do. That would be cool. I will be actually, for all of you who are watching this in the 10K training group, I will be doing a video, just a debrief video, because I think if there is interest for us to carry on training, we might do some kind of low membership fee for training so that we can all kind of benefit from it and work towards maybe the half. I always said I wouldn't do it, but maybe I will. Maybe I'll go and run that. Funnily enough, when we ran today, it's 12 years. It's my fastest 10K in 12 years. And ironically, when I ran the 10K 12 years ago, or when I got my fastest time since, which was 12 years ago, it was 12 minutes faster. So for every year, I've gained a minute and probably a kilo. Right, guys, 60 seconds. Any last questions before we shoot off? The sun is lovely. Hit like, love, haha, wow. If you have found this information useful, I do hope you have. I really enjoyed today's one. A slightly different process. Did we like this format where I basically pick a subject and we talk through it, if that's useful? And I want more questions as well, guys. Love these questions that come in. Seeing what comes in. Oh, lots of hearts, thumbs ups. Thank you very much. Gutted I missed that one. Were we away, Kate? Oh, yeah. We weren't away. We were away on the sidelines watching. Coaching. Right, 30 more seconds for any more questions, guys. Ian, I will drop you a message about training programs. Same for you, Emma. Well, you're both in the group, so I'll do a video for that this week. Tomorrow, I am doing, I haven't actually had much of the details, but tomorrow I'm doing a live nutrition Q&A, nutrition and alcohol, I think, well, nutrition and hydration, but alcohol is going to feature heavily in it, for the Birmingham City Fans Club. It's about working in the community, and some people there have been losing lots of weight by addressing their lifestyle, so I'll be talking in there. Looking forward to that one. And then we're trying to make some arrangements for some water polo teams, so I'll be doing some talks for their teams. We've also got our highly recommended physio, worked with Olympians, works with everyone. We're going to be doing a Q&A on Facebook, probably on a weekday evening. That's going to be coming up in a couple of weeks. I'm going to be sending emails out about that one. And then, who else? Oh, yeah. Our podcast and interviews are with athletes and coaches. We're starting to record those as well, so those are going to be coming out too. So lots of things coming your way. I think I'm going to sign out from here, guys, because no more questions have come in. Thank you very much for joining us. I've very much enjoyed that, almost as much as I've enjoyed eating my cake and drinking my coffee whilst doing this in the sunshine. So everyone, take care, stay safe. Thank you very much for joining us. Bye-bye.